it's time for my January wrap-up, and I've had a good month. I've read 7 books. 3 of them are books that I was given for Christmas, so I'm reading those. I've not bought anything this month. I've been very good. I've not bought any books, so I'm reading the ones that I was gifted at Christmas from my family. And I've also read 4 from NetGalley. Those were ones that I've requested and been lucky enough to get. And there are a couple of real crackers in there. Oh, wow. So, going in the order that I read them, the first book was Moonlight and the Peeler's Daughter by Lizzie Pook. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And that was on NetGalley. And it's a debut novel. And it's set in Western Australia. And it's about the pearlers, these people who would dive for mother of pearl. And it was also the exploitation of the people who dived. And we have Eliza, whose father is one of the master pearlers, who's got his own fleet. And her father goes missing. And she's a young woman who has to try and find her father. She meets lots of hostility from the other pearlers, and she's trying to find out why he disappeared. And she's a very determined and feisty character. And yes, that wasn't a bad one. It wasn't a 5-star, but it's all right. Now, the second one was one of my Christmas presents, and it was this one, Frankenstein in Baghdad. And this is a sort of satirical retelling of Frankenstein, or retelling. It's based on Frankenstein. It's set in US-occupied Baghdad, and it covers the experience of people at that time when they didn't know whether they would return home when they set out in the morning because of the constant bombings and suicide bombs and explosions, and that was the life they were living in. And you have Maddie, who's a junk dealer, and he creates this corpse. He uses body parts and he creates a corpse because he wants to give all the people that have been destroyed by the explosions a burial. That's his aim. But this corpse becomes animated by the spirit of somebody else who dies in an explosion, and it goes on sort of trail of revenge. It sets out to revenge all the people that it's made up of. So that was a really interesting read. I enjoyed that one, and I enjoyed the humour, the black humour in that one. Right, the third one I read was, again, another Christmas present, and it was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And this one I was a little disappointed with. I enjoyed it. It was a good story, and I love the character of Evelyn. But I'd been almost misled by the hype, the hype on BookTube. So many people talking about it as the best thing since sliced bread. So I went into this book expecting to absolutely love it, and was disappointed when I just liked it. It explores the story of Evelyn Hugo. She tells her story. She's 79, and she wants to tell the truth about her story and her 7 husbands. So it's a good story, but it's one that I liked but didn't love. Moving on to NetGalley again, and this was one of my wow books, and it was Slowworms Song by Andrew Miller. And it's the story of Stephen, who's a recovering alcoholic, and his desire to build a relationship with his estranged daughter, which seems to be going well until he gets a letter asking him to give evidence at a commission in Belfast. As a young man, he was in the army during the time of the Troubles in Belfast, and there was an incident, and that incident was the reason why he became an alcoholic. And it's something he's never told his daughter about, and he's scared that when she finds out, she will never want to talk to him again, that all ties will be severed forever. And so he writes to her. He can't talk to her face to face, he writes to her, and the book is his writing. It is him putting his story on paper, and it is so beautiful, and it's heartbreaking, and I absolutely loved it. And you feel for him. This is a man who's wanting forgiveness, who's feeling guilt, and it is just tremendous, absolutely tremendous. And that one comes out in March. Moving on to another Christmas present, it was Ariadne. Beautiful cover this is. I absolutely love this cover. And it's a Greek retelling, because my family know that I love my Greek retellings. And you've got the story of Ariadne and her sister Phaedra. I hadn't realised when I picked this book up that Phaedra would play a part in the story as well. So you've got the points of view of both sisters and their story. And although they come out as very strong, independent characters, their lives are still under the control of husbands and gods. They can't get away from the control that the males have. They've determined characters. They're trying to forge their own path, but the gods always pull the strings. But yes, it was a good story and I liked it. There's beautiful lyrical language in there. I didn't feel the emotions that I wanted to. I felt it was a storytelling and I didn't get deep into the characters, which I thought was a pity. The next one, again, it was one that I requested from NetGalley, and it was another wow. And it was Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies by Maddie Mortimer. And there's lots of triggers in this for death and illness. And it is powerful and it is emotional and it's just so unique, because you've got the story of Leah, who gets this dreadful diagnosis. And it's the story of her illness. And her illness is a character. In the book, the illness has a voice. And it describes in graphic detail the way that it is going through her body and what it is doing to her body. And it gives its perspective on her history. She's remembering her history, but her illness has given its own perspective on her history. It's a wonderful book, and it is so powerful, and it's full of honesty and compassion. And this is illness as it is, not sugar-coated and covered in Disney fairy dust. And it is heartbreaking. Pick this book up and a box of tissues, because by the end of the book you will need them. The final book that I read this month was Missing by, let me get the name right, Concita de Gregorio, and it's translated from the Italian. And again, this is a very powerful book because it's based on a true story. Irina's ex-husband took her daughters. They had custody, joint custody. He took them, twin daughters aged 6, and she never saw them again. A few days after taking the girls, he killed himself. No sign of the girls. The girls have now been missing for 11 years. They would be 17 now. And there's never been any sign of them. There's been no bodies, nothing. So this woman is still in almost a state of limbo. She doesn't know whether her daughters are dead or alive, or if they're dead, she just hasn't got any bodies to give closure. And the book is written in the form of letters and thoughts, and I don't know how close to the original the author got, but you have Irina's story and the way she deals with her grief. And because it is a true story, it is heartbreaking. So those are my 7 books that I read in January. My book of the month, I was torn between the 2 NetGalleys, the Slowworm and Maps of Our Incredible Bodies. They were both 5 stars for me. I think the edge has to go to the Slowworm because of the character of Stephen and his desire for forgiveness and this desire to try and get these bonds with his family back before it's too late. So that was my month of January. I'm looking forward to February. It's a short month, so I don't know how many books I'll get read in February. So happy reading, take care, and bye.